What if a forgotten newspaper could rewrite a whole lost chapter of history? Well, today we're digging into an incredible story of language, identity, and survival. And it's all found hidden in the pages of a newspaper that literally gives a voice to a lost world.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Think of this as an investigation. Our mission is to unravel the story of a German-speaking community that was thriving in the Caucasus Mountains over a century ago, and in the process, to figure out who they really were. So first off, who are the people at the heart of this mystery? Well, for more than 200 years, a community of so-called Caucasian Germans settled in the Russian Empire. This was a whole culture, with its own bustling towns, incredible churches, and unique traditions that a lot of historians just assumed had completely vanished after the forced deportations back in 1941 during World War II. But they left something behind, a really crucial piece of evidence, actually. It's like a time capsule that gives us this direct window into their world, and even into their minds. Our first major clue comes from one single vital source.
This right here is the Caucasus Post, or the Caucasian Post. It was published in Tbilisi, Georgia, from 1906 all the way until it was banned in 1922. Now get this, it was the only German newspaper in the entire region, which makes it an unbelievably valuable record of this community's life.
And trust me, this was no small-town newsletter. The Caucasus Post was the absolute hub of community life. I mean, it covered everything: high-stakes political news about Russia and Germany, local gossip, farming tips, poetry, and it even had a funny corner with jokes. It was pretty much the glue holding the whole community together. And check this out. A quote from the very first issue reveals this fascinating dual identity. Right from the get-go, they wanted to uphold the German name, but also to benefit the country in which we live, which of course was the Russian Empire. So from day one, they saw themselves as both. So how did this dual identity actually play out in their daily life? Well, the most revealing clues are hidden in plain sight, in a place you would probably never expect to find them: the advertisements. And this is really our central question, because these ads, they aren't just commercials for, soap or legal services. No. They're historical artifacts, and they are packed with clues about culture, language, and identity. Okay, take a look at this ad for a lawyer's office. The text, as you can see, is entirely in German, but the street address, way down at the bottom, it's written only in the Russian Cyrillic script, Targova 23. This basically assumes that the German-reading audience could also just casually read a Russian address. Why on earth would they do that? Let's do a direct comparison here. Advertisers totally could have written the street name using the German alphabet, something like Torgevaya Strasse, but instead they often chose the Russian Cyrillic. This kind of fluid switching between scripts is a super clear sign that they were living in a truly bilingual world. And this wasn't just a fluke, not a one-off thing. To understand the pattern, researchers carefully analyzed, get this, 936 different advertisements that were published in the newspaper between 1906 and 1914. And the data from all those ads is pretty revealing. While, 75% were in German only, a really significant chunk, 13%, deliberately mixed German and Russian. This was not an accident or mistake. It was a consistent, intentional choice, especially when it came to practical things like addresses. But this mixing of languages, it didn't happen in a vacuum. You have to remember, this community was facing a lot of growing political pressure from the Russian Empire to assimilate, to basically give up its German roots. This timeline really shows how that pressure just kept mounting. In 1871, their right to self-government was taken away. Then in 1891, Russian became the official language in their schools. And by 1915, during World War I, German newspapers like the Caucasus Post were banned completely. I mean, their entire world was changing and fast. So here's the crucial point. Their language was being literally marginalized. This report from the paper complains that German classes were being pushed to the fifth lesson, after all the real classes were already over. This made the community's fight to hold on to their language and identity even more vital. So what does this all mean? All these different clues, the newspaper, the ads, the political pressure, they all start to point toward one single conclusion about the unique identity of the Caucasian Germans. And here it is, the key revelation.
The mixing of Russian and German, it wasn't a sign that they were forgetting their heritage. It wasn't sloppy, it wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate choice, a way of sending a very specific message. So what do linguists call this? Well, there's a concept called contextualization cues. I know, it sounds a little academic, but the idea is actually really simple. These are just small linguistic signals, like using a word from another language or a different alphabet, that tell people who are in the know what the real context is.
Think of it like this. It's the reason you might use a specific emoji or a bit of slang with your friends that, an outsider just wouldn't get. It's a tiny but really powerful signal that says, hey, I'm one of you. We get it. We're part of the same group.
And that is exactly what was happening in the Caucasus Post. By putting a Russian address and a German ad, they were doing so much more than giving directions. They were making a powerful declaration of their own unique identity. We are proud of our German heritage, and we are loyal citizens, firmly rooted right here in our Russian homeland. We are distinctly Caucasian Germans.
And that just leaves us with a final thought. This one newspaper unlocked the story of an entire community's identity, all through the tiny choices they made in their language. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other stories about who we are lie hidden in the words we choose to use or lose or mix together every single day?